61.
Would you join me in the pledge? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Morning, everyone. First order of business is ask for public comment. If there is any public comment, we ask that you identify yourself and restrict your comments to about 5 minutes, please. Hearing none. Jeremy?
Good morning. You got your report there. February was slower compared to January, but that's okay. Breaks are nice, so. Our times are staying pretty consistent, so. I've got 3 that'll be finishing the advanced class next month. I've got a 4th one in class that just started, so they're about 4 months away from getting done. So time they get done, they'll be able to do 90 to 95% of what I do as a paramedic on all our calls. So that'll help me out greatly. I also have 2 new basics that are starting part-time, so staffing today, I can say is pretty good. Tomorrow may be different, but today's pretty good, so. Any questions?
I never hear anything, so that's good.
Oh, good.
Okay. Like we said, Andy is not here today. Josh, did you want to talk a little bit about Wednesday? What's going to happen with Core and the tower?
Alright, Wednesday, the Corps, there's gonna be a kickoff meeting for the jail again at 8:30. They're bringing in their subs and NET and Klingner, and everybody's kind of meeting on site to basically go over what we're gonna do, how we're gonna do it, monitoring, that kind of stuff going forward, so we don't run into the same problems we had this time. My understanding is they're hoping to hopefully start as early as, and I think tomorrow's probably a little liberal, but this week maybe. If not, they should be go back over there starting to do some removal next week. I think they were still trying to address a little bit, the last I heard, with some of the what do you call it, the plumbing, because a couple of those didn't have sleeves around that, but they were gonna be able to start their stuff without that, because all that's pretty much interior. They wanna really get started on the ones on the outside so they can get the curing done, so they can start setting precast panels. So they're hoping, like I said, to start as, hopefully this week, if not this week, first of next week, hopefully, having over there starting doing stuff, is what they told me last week.
Is there a reason why they haven't done that sooner? I'm taking out the ones they screwed up.
They
Is
were
there a
trying,
reason why they haven't taken out those already?
they were working on how they were gonna do the fixes, kinda what the problem was, which exactly ones had to be fixed. There were some not discrepancies, some discussion on what really needed to be fixed and how to do it. Because there's quite a bit of cost in replacing those, so if they could get around it. But the testing they were gonna have to do a lot less wasn't feasible.
It's hard to answer a question around town when they ask you what's going on. I just say, I don't know. Which I don't.
But
So I'm being truthful.
no, they just didn't follow the codes for that class of building on a couple of those.
I didn't have a supervisor when they put that stuff in.
Okay, the building committee's met many times on this
Yeah.
and tried to deal with the issues over the last several months. Part of it was negotiations, part of it was sensitive. We had to make sure that the county wasn't liable for any of this.
Yeah, I understand
Okay,
that. Right.
so we had to work through it, okay?
Okay.
Is that fair, Carl? Russ?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then for the tower, the company, Second Sight, which is gonna be doing the work, should be out Wednesday, tensioning the cable, or tensioning the guy wires. That's the first thing they had to do to make sure it was safe. There's no problems there's no bowing, there's no other thing, but they just wanna make sure all at the proper tension, because that's the most important thing to keep those things safe. Because one gets out, that can pull it the wrong way or fall or cause damage. So they're gonna be out doing that. in theory, they said Wednesday, so they haven't confirmed, but they're supposed to let me know when somebody's definitely on the way, so I can let the sheriff or whoever know that somebody's working on the tower, so nobody's wondering what's going on out there. And then I got a couple different quotes for a couple things.
Which will get you set out right this
Yep.
morning.
I will.
And maybe you could get one made for Carl before
can.
he leaves.
I can do that.
There's two separate quotes, one for putting all of our stuff on, and then another quote for putting all of our stuff on, plus get the lighting all set up. Okay?
I know last week at the 911 meeting, they were asking questions about it. I know I shared with them about the information we had from that one company, and I think we had to make some kind of decision on how much we were gonna do with that whole project. 'Cause
Yeah, there was-
things like it was $189,000.
Yeah, there was some additional stuff that's, what we'll call it, recommended but not required, it's not there
Right.
now, like there's some protecting some cables from, say, falling ice or something that could fall and break it,
Right.
some grounding issues, some other stuff that's, can always be done later, but it's not there now, it's never been there. So I had them redo the quote and take that
Just
kind of stuff
To
out.
do just what really needs to be done.
That, yes, basically. One that doesn't include the lighting, one that includes the lighting. I'd say I'd recommend the lighting just because it's gonna be a lot cheaper now, and if you're not gonna light it properly, we need to paint it.
Right.
It's an either or. The Xering lighting doesn't exempt you from paint. So, and there's some synergies there, that if you look through the quote, you can see where
Okay.
prices are lower on one or the other because of they're doing the work,
Okay.
so.
Yeah, it makes sense if you're doing it all at one time.
Because they're gonna be on there taking off the old equipment, they can take the old lighting and stuff off, they can run new wires up for the new lighting, that kind of stuff. So,
Mobilization, you know,
Makes
use of
sense.
labor, so that's, can you make sure that happens today, and Carl gets it?
Yeah, I'll go print it right as soon as I get in here.
I just print the, well, you could print the what, oh, the reason we've got one is just to take everything off and, you know, nothing to do with lighting, but we should probably go with a combined deal and get it done. Okay?
And then, like I said, as soon as you let me know, I can get a schedule. They have talked to Brad with that, if everything's kind of coordinated there. I think at this point, everybody's just kind of waiting on tensioning and then for us to decide what we want to do. And they made it sound like as long as Brad's got all of his stuff, they can get to it pretty quickly.
Why don't
So-
we, do you mind if we set up, I'll get a hold of Andy, he's in Texas, and see if we couldn't get together. It's too late for Wednesday, isn't it, probably, to have a committee meeting?
To post it, unless you want to do it in the afternoon.
Or we could do it Thursday. Thursday's fine with me, how about you, Carl?
As far as I know.
Yeah, we'll do one here at what, 10? Is that all right, or would you like it earlier?
That's fine, that's fine.
That's fine.
Yeah, we also,
And then I'll make sure that Andy's aware of what's going on. Okay?
we need to talk about our generator there too.
Right,
And the-
yeah, and we can
any
just,
other power needs to make sure we've got the right size.
yep. And if we do happen to have another meeting with Core on Thursday morning at 11, it would just dovetail right into that, okay? Dan?
I stopped out at the shelter last week and Andrew got our new phone in her office thanks to Jeff. She was happy about that, took a while to get it.
Well, he said that he's had it for a month, and she had to let him know that she needed it, so.
Okay, well, taken care of.
Anyway, and
Anyway,
then
taken
the
care of.
computer is being ordered and set up,
Right.
and then what was the third thing? There was
Somebody stole a pup out of the shelter. I guess she was
cameras.
working in the back or something and somebody came in and stole the puppy, so she's gonna put in some more cameras. We talked to Tech Doc. She only has one camera, I don't know where it is, but I do that because that way you don't have to pay any money. You know, go and steal a dog, you don't have to pay any money, but it was a puppy. I guess she was working by herself back somewhere in the shelter and somebody came in and stole the puppy out of the shelter, so we're gonna put in some more cameras out there. She thinks she knows who did it, but she can't really prove it, but with the camera she could, so. So I think it's gonna be like $3,000 for
But
this.
she would just feel horrible, and I know this is terrible to say. Wouldn't she feel horrible if somebody snuck in there and took all the dogs?
Yeah, I know. Well, that'd be all right. Don't take the big ones, take the little ones.
I just,
Yeah,
she
take
would
the little
just
ones.
come in
Oh,
on the
she'd be
next morning and
happy.
go, no dog food today.
She's kinda rearranged her help too, where some of them clean the pen and some do paperwork, so she's kinda got pretty well organized. And, they've been working on the new office painting walls, and they put up a new wall to separate the center, so she's pretty close to moving in. So she's gonna put her office over there, and then the place where her office is and the shelter is gonna be, people want to adopt it, come in there, they'd have that room to look at the dog, play with the dog, and so forth. So slow but sure, it's getting organized, so, yeah. She's happy with her new building. Works out very well. Other than that,
Okay. Russ, what's going on?
Nothing more, Josh kinda already covered,
Okay.
talked about the antenna and our meeting.
Oh,
Yes, we do have, we've come to a contract agreement to sell the annex.
Oh, yeah.
oh, good. Oh, yeah.
So,
Yes.
Good.
we've,
Some
I guess we're-
negotiating.
yes, we're.
$1,001?
No. No.
Okay.
So far, it's a very,
Okay, good.
very reasonable.
I think I've signed what needs to be signed, haven't I, Andy? Or Augie?
I assume you have. I haven't seen anything
Yes,
yet.
as far as I know from Chris.
Oh, that's right, he
Yes,
signed.
emailed it back to Chris. I guess we're just at the,
You know what's gonna go in there?
no, I don't think we can say at this point.
Yeah.
Okay.
They've just got to secure financing and
Good.
write us a
Good.
check.
Well, that would be exciting.
Yeah, yeah, good. At least not gonna tear it down, right?
Right.
Good.
No, it'll be
Yeah,
something good and something appropriate.
Not making spots in the round square.
No, and it's, yeah. It'll be good.
Took a few calls back and forth, but I think we all agreed on where we're at.
Good deal. Augie, do you have anything this morning?
We're a week away from the election,
Jeez.
and turnout is really pretty low at the moment. We've had more vote by mail ballots than we had in person. We got roughly 350 mail ballots in, and a little over 100 in person. So
Seems like it's been a lot of money for an election that nobody votes, right?
Yeah, one of the questions you don't wanna ask Augie is, once it's done, how much each vote costs?
Yeah. Yeah. All that work for 1,000 votes probably total, if that many. That's
Yeah, that'll probably be
typical,
more than that.
typical.
So, other than for the Paris Township Road Commissioner, are there any other contested
County board.
races?
Or a school board.
Oh,
School board,
Paris
Johnny
School-
Bad.
That would be fun.
Is that about it?
Paris, what, have they got 5 running for 3?
Something like that, yeah.
Interesting.
That one write-in, that's unusual, isn't it? To have a write-in for Paris Township, local, the write-in.
They don't usually do well.
road commissioner.
I was thinking there was another road commissioner race, but I might
I
be
think
wrong.
that's the only one. I
Just,
think.
I was thinking there was one somewhere. I don't know for sure what that's what Aaron told me.
KC Golf, same one. I thought KC and,
Milko,
yeah.
or Paris Township.
Okay, Carl, nothing? Bud,
Nope.
how about you, Lisa, you got
How
anything?
about it, yes. Preservation Heritage Fund grant program, I got all excited until I got to the size of the grants. And, you know, you have to do everything but give your firstborn, and the grants range from 500 to 5,000. Like, dang, that's not even hardly worth the
No,
amount
that's
of
not
time
gonna pay
to
nothing, yeah.
do all of the requirements. Cause of course I'm thinking, oh, elevator, restoration, $5,000 wouldn't get us anywhere. And that's if we got the max. So I did look at that a little more closely. I had shared that we had, elected official department head meeting. Augie, they decided they want to meet, at least for now, every other month.
Okay.
So our next meeting is May 21st at 10 a.m.
May.
I know. So I'll go over some of that, and I'm glad to have both of you here that have participated. Door prizes was most staff, name with the most letters, won by Phil, and fewest letters, which was Nancy. So I got a couple door prizes I owe. We were visiting strategic planning this month, discussing weaknesses. And, some of it was not a surprise. Workforce and the challenge of attracting somebody who's not a baby boomer. And health insurance for spouse and family, which those are not surprises to us. Aging infrastructure, looking at the courthouse especially. But the one that we got into a conversation that I was kind of surprised about where it went was safety, physical safety and security in our buildings. And with the exception of the jail, everybody expressed concern because our buildings were built before that was a thing or an issue. And that is something that I would advise buildings and grounds to put on your list of things to think about, and it is here.
In what regard?
Inability to lock or make safety for staff as far as physical safety from somebody coming in, and also fire. That we need to make sure that all of our buildings are reviewed for appropriateness. Because we do have buildings that were built before that was an issue. Maybe not the fire part, but the safety otherwise. Jill talked quite a bit about the tornado and weaknesses in the process, weaknesses in communication. In general, it was with the city. Because she doesn't have the authority or the ability to block off roads and streets, and that caused some pretty big problems. And she was not able to contact the city streets superintendent when she had needed.
I have a question. Why don't we have the tornado sirens anymore? You know why? Is there a reason why? I
Have
know
you ever-
Champaign.
Before we got on the board,
They became inoperable,
Why don't we get new ones in?
Don't we
didn't
have
have
two?
the money.
Okay.
They were originally put up by the
Newport.
Newport,
Yeah.
Okay, but
Yeah.
Champaign didn't talk
And they-
about how many theirs went off during.
put all them up, and then I remember Terry Hackett.
Myself.
Terry Hackett was the ESDA person at the time, and a lot of them became inoperable, and there was no funding to put them
I
back
didn't
up.
think it cost that much to put them up, maybe it was, I don't know. Only need 2 or 3 probably, but.
I
Well,
think they're
back
both-
then, they were countywide, like all,
Oh, were they?
Vermillion had,
Crestwood had one out there, I know about it.
everybody, there was like 3 or 4 in Paris, but all
Yeah.
Kansas,
Oh, okay.
all of them,
Okay.
the small villages had,
Okay, I know that.
But one
Okay.
thing that she discussed that kind of went along with that was the National Weather Service, the criteria was not met, and therefore the National Weather Service didn't put out the alerts. Now, I got one,
Yeah, my wife did too.
but it was not, that did not function as well, and that was not her.
But not everybody has a cell phone.
Yeah,
My
but you know,
flip phone wouldn't do
she does a good job of trying to get that information out as far as getting people
Yeah.
signed up for the text alerts, but you're right, that will never be complete.
No.
But, so she had some information, she had summarized. And Carl, I think I'll give that to you, is that okay?
I've
So,
got a question about that. That's why she has a committee to work on that. I mean, if they needed to have a meeting afterwards, if stuff didn't work, I'm on that board. She should have called, we need to have that come together, and we need to do an evaluation of what broke down. That's not this board's issue, okay? I mean, we need to encourage that board, but that's the EMS and all that together.
the big emergency group.
Right.
yeah.
That's what I would have said at the meeting, but I wasn't able to attend. Last week was a lost
I
week.
forgot all about it.
Last week was a lost meeting for me. Anyway, so,
Scott Barrett said, he ended up, he just went out and bought a generator because he didn't realize that when the power was hooked up for his building using the highway department, that it didn't include the generator because the generator didn't have enough strength, that might not be the right term, but anyway, to also accommodate the coroner. So he ended up getting a generator, so I'm assuming
Where's
that
it gonna be located?
it was a small one.
right here.
So,
The coroner's office.
Okay. Is he ever in that office? Okay.
yeah, and there are
I
bodies in
just
there.
wondered.
that doesn't sound right, because
So-
they've got a big generator here.
Yeah.
So
He said it
he had talked to,
Unless,
he had talked to Jimmy, so I'm bringing that awareness again to the building and grounds.
Lots of
Okay.
stuff. Like he's always wanting some.
Chapin Rose contacted Jeff Wood, because Chapin's good at his job,
About what?
seeing if there was anything he needed to know or do.
that, if that Chapin needed to do. Okay.
Scott had mentioned that at the high rise, they have the ability to switch from internet phones to landline. And so they were having a conversation about, that being a disadvantage with the internet phones. That there's a little bit of issue there that Scott said he does not have, because his phones can go to landline. So that might be a conversation for you to have further with Ross.
We don't have anything to do with HR or the high rise, do we?
No, he
Well,
just
there's
shares
power
that
went off.
because it
We
was
have a
so
lady that lives
interesting.
upstairs and she was trapped upstairs for
No.
2 days because elevators wouldn't work. We take her to church all the time.
Right, well, and I will say that
It should be
he,
something they put in them if they need it. So why don't they have a big generator for the high rise?
well, they have a generator, and they were in the process, because that generator was inadequate, so they were in the process of wiring in a new generator that was done on Wednesday
Okay.
after. So, but right, that is not within our
Yeah, she
domain.
was trapped a couple of days upstairs.
So, there was, as usual, some conversation about Paycom and ensuring that deductions are correct. And Nancy's working to get another face-to-face conversation with our Paycom rep. And I think that's about all that we need to discuss in this meeting. It was some very, very good conversation. Like I said, they decided that for now they want to meet every other month. So next meeting is May 21st.
Did I have a candidate for HRC yet?
Yeah,
Had that in the paper, I just wondered.
it got done.
Oh, you mean for the new executive director?
Yeah, had that in the paper over
Oh,
the weekend.
right.
I thought you.
That's what I meant, yeah.
Yeah,
You have a candidate yet?
I don't know.
Yeah, had that, had in the paper about every week for that, so I just wondered.
I don't think there's really anything major that needed to be discussed in here for what we discussed at the the staff meeting, just things that, awareness for different departments, especially, of course, the sheriff. But the one that I wanted to bring up today was the report that came out after that on legislative but the one thing was, House Republicans unveil legislative package to deliver property tax relief, and there are 5 bills, but those were brought forth by Republicans, so. There's quite a bit of action, and you may have already heard about it, about dissolving townships. And I'll just read kind of through this. This one, it's in the Senate Executive Committee, provides that all townships with a population of less than 5,000 are dissolved and must either consolidate or the county would take the boundaries. And then there's another one, provides that in counties with a population of less than 50,000, offices of township assessor and multi-assessor are abolished and become part of the county assessor role. And then there's another, provides that all townships with a population less than 500 are dissolved 2 years after the effective date of the amendatory act. And that would be Prairie, and that would be quite a few others. And then it talks about how you'd tax if you didn't have tax going to the townships. And then, of course, along with that would be provide that elected and appointed township officers and road commissioners would cease to hold office on the date of the dissolution. So none of this is law, but there's definitely movement toward dissolving townships. So it's just awareness.
The main question would be probably is funding road work.
Mm-hmm.
And if the township road commissioner didn't exist, would then the county highway engineer be responsible? And where are they gonna get the money for the county to then fill that gap?
Right, so then it would be the decision of the funds that are currently taxed that the township uses, would the county basically change their tax structure to include that tax amount? And would that be sufficient? There's a lot of study that would need to be done, how we would deal with that if that time came.
Well, my guess is no, it wouldn't be sufficient to do. And number two, we wouldn't have any say in the studies. It'd just be, here you are.
And I will tell you, on the other side of the state line, do I feel like the little gravel roads get handled as well as they do over here? Oh no, because we're calling our township commissioner if there's a problem. And I see him, because I'm the road monitor, I see him go by every day. And I know that he's really watching our roads, and I see him with equipment every day, whether he's replacing culverts or especially preparing for farming season. I have good confidence in him, and it is a
He
concern.
is a good road.
He is a good one. So that is just an awareness. Had health board. I am pleased to say that our meetings are taking less than a half an hour, and it's not because we rushed. Dr. Rico does an excellent job. They are finishing up, they got a grant to do nitrous oxide, so that they can handle children more easily if they have to have more intense work done. And really, that was about the only big issue that we discussed. Kim continues to increase her knowledge on building and grounds and maintenance, but they have gotten some windows replaced that needed to be replaced. The roof is repaired. Most of the problems with the furnace and the air handler are dealt with. The next thing is there are their exhaust system, part of it is inadequate or non-functional. So, just the stuff you deal with in an old building, that something's always bubbling up. But otherwise, as far as operations of the health department itself, it's going well. And I might have told you, I told Connor I would be on his, emergency services planning group. So, nobody needs me caring for people, but I can sure do paperwork. I can organize people. So, I think that's all I had. Oh, solar, I have I'll be having a conference call with the attorney who wrote the ordinance sample at some point this week, hopefully tomorrow. That's all.
Any questions of Lisa? Did you have anything, Philip?
My office can draft a letter to the tower, the AT&T, if the board still wants to proceed with terminating the contract with AT&T.
Yes.
Okay, and then I can prepare that, and we can have that.
You call me and I'll sign it. Okay? We'll distribute it out to the board also.
Okay,
Okay?
Congratulations on the award.
thank you.
You are.
That's nice. I
Under-
read all those. There's a lot of people I never, didn't even know,
Right. Said we-
never heard of them before,
A
but
couple of them are Horizon Health employees too. Yeah, I knew them, Adam and, the other one.
Jesse.
In the papers there, yeah.
a lot of
Kelly
good
Keys.
young
Yes,
people
right.
in the community.
True.
Yeah.
Yes. About 20 of them, I think, or something like that. About
Yeah, it was
20.
good to be able to read what everybody's doing and how they're
Mhm.
impacting the
Right,
county.
yeah, it's good article in the paper.
Yeah, I enjoyed reading that.
Good idea.
Adam from the hospital ran a training program for, what are the units that are sitting right here?
The AED.
Yeah,
Hey,
And when he ran that, he found out that we were deficient, some of our battery packs, part of the battery pack for infant had expired. So I told him to go around and go around and make sure everything was up to date and operational. If the cost of that's about $1,000 for all.
that's worth it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, but that was the only thing I really have right now. The audit's going on. We haven't heard anything about when the auditors are gonna be in yet, have we?
I haven't heard.
So, as soon as we know that, we'll be there to make sure we get done what we need to get done. Go ahead, Augie.
Thank you for mentioning audit. I don't know if I told you that I requested an IMRF audit since we've had turnover with HR and payroll, and very cooperative. We're gonna go back and look at the last 2 years just to make sure that everything is in the right place. So Nancy and I are working on that, and so far so good.
Yeah, we need to make sure everybody's gotten all their credits
Absolutely.
and that everything is where it should be.
Yep.
There was predication, there was nothing we saw. It was just simply, it's time to just double check everything.
Absolutely.
I need to get my grandson to apply for the job here, because that's what he does for a living.
What's that, audit?
CPA does audit.
Huh?
Yeah.
That's what we need to pay for is another.
He won't do my
CPA.
tax, he won't do my tax, age tax. No.
Yeah, instead. All right, is there anything else to come before the meeting? Do we need a closed session for any reason?
Good.
Okay, hearing none, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn. Russ moves, Dan seconds. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay.
Take no Randy's spot.
Vote for